They fought back.
They fought back.
And in spite of the fact that they became majority, he retained the speakership.
All right. Now, the fact that, I'm sorry to have to use this crude word. It's crude because really I should find a better example. But this conversation is not between the elite. It has to be between you, and the Nigeria people, which include people who are not particularly sophisticated in terms of, when you resort to this sophistry. The fact that one thief, that is not to say armed robber, succeeded in stealing sometime, and people saw him stealing, and he got away with it. Should that fact, known by everyone, and people choose to sleep on their right, not to report to the police, or if they reported, the police for some reasons choose to look the other way. When other thieves come to burgle your house and steal, you say, but why are you arresting this one? The one that stole last week, did they arrest him? If it is wrong, the fact that more and more people are stealing, we never make stealing a way of life. If Tabowa got it, did it and got away with it, and PDP slept on their right, APC, under my leadership, will not sleep on our right. I didn't come to perpetuate the status quo. I am not a traditional ruler who celebrates preservation of culture and tradition, who speak to how great-grandfathers were doing certain things which must be preserved. I am a change agent, and the philosophy of my party is change. Our democracy cannot grow. We must preserve what is good in it and change what is bad in it. So we must return to a system whereby, don't forget, in all of this, people are also silent. Those lawyers, those television lawyers and newspaper lawyers, they have also failed to properly amplify the judgment of the Supreme Court that unless there is a faction, and the definition of faction was also properly defined in that judgment, you are not at liberty to move from one party to the other without vacating your seat. And the Supreme Court, in another ruling, in a much earlier ruling, which until it is overturned, that remains the case, because they are supreme, we have to accept it, that it is political parties that contest, win or lose elections, not individuals, which is why Governor Amici, unknown to the ballot, was declared by the Supreme Court as the winner of Rivers State governorship election, yes. Even though there was no pretense. He himself did not argue that Rivers people voted for him as a person or not. The Supreme Court said, no, they voted for PDP, and it is PDP that won the election, and then proceed to now define who was the legal candidate of the PDP, even if that person, because according to Obasanjo, he had a K-leg. K-leg was never defined, and it doesn't need to be defined. It's Obasanjo's own privilege to so define it. And the Amici became governor. Now, if it is true that it is parties that win elections, not individual, you will understand the logic of the subsequent findings of the Supreme Court when it's held that if you are elected on a party platform, you can't just move away. Now you might say, comrade, you probably are known for a couple of things. You are not known to be a lawyer. Yes, but I listen when non-partisan lawyers speak. Mr. Femi Falana, SAN, has spoken elaborately and convincingly on this, that Senator Saraki did not establish, INEC did not recognize that there was a faction in the APC. All that they did was to get a collection of individuals, some of whom are not even card-carrying members of the APC, to proclaim that they are now ROAPC. But if they are ROAPC, that is another party. That is not APC. APC remains one. They never claim, at no time did anybody claim he was another chairman of APC or he was another chairman or secretary of APC. They said they have formed a group known as ROAPC. Now,
within the APC?
No, it cannot be within.
No, that's what they said. I'm simply quoting you what they said.
It's what makes sense, because you cannot form a party within a party. Our law is clear. The process of forming a political party is clear. They didn't say we are now secretary, there's another chairman of APC, there's another secretary of APC. They form another name, called RAPC. Just like I hear people have formed the Advanced
Democratic Congress.
No. Advanced All Progressive Congress. Even ABGA is called All
Progressive Grand Alliance.
Fine. So, completely different. But they never claim, and that was just fair of them. They never claim that there are two chairmen. In PDP, you had two chairmen. You had Modu Sharif as chairman, and then they also had a secondus as chairman. So you had two chairmen of PDP.
No, you meant Modu Sharif and McCarthy.
That's right.
Because secondus
he came later. Okay. So you had two people claiming to be chairman of PDP, not of new PDP or whatever. So I think it's so clear. As Femi Falana didn't miss any word that there was no faction. Femi Falana is not a APC person. And you can see when APC is on the wrong side of the law, he shouts just as loud as he will do if any other person in his view are on the other side of the law. So that action itself was illegal. But as far as I'm concerned, Saraki has already defined his political grave, to which he must be politically buried.
Let me move
you. He dug it cautiously.
No, let me move you in another direction because of time, so that we can cover quite a number of issues. Now, earlier on, you spoke about the whole issue of conservatism vis-a-vis progressivism. And one of the places where that could have been demonstrated would have been in the election process, the process of elections. The newest phenomenon, which I'm sure as chairman of the ruling party you are very much aware of, is this issue of vote buying. People actually tendering money, and you go vote, you indicate to them how you voted, and then you are compensated. This had been growing. There had been accusations, starting from the Edo elections, moving on to Ondo. It only grew bigger as each subsequent election came up. But the one that became the loudest was the one with the Ekiti elections, which the APC won. Now, to be fair to the on the subject, those who complained didn't single out the APC. They said in some instances, they said both parties, major parties, were involved
in buying and selling.
This. Okay. In fact, some was even captured on television cameras and so on. There was some on the BBC and all of that. Now, my own point is, what I'm trying to find out from you as national chairman is, what do you make of this? And then, did the APC participate in your view? I mean, you weren't yet national chairman at the time.
I was in Ekiti.
Okay, sorry. As at the time of the election, you were
2 weeks into the
election. Now, what do you make of that?
I cannot be chairman of a party and celebrate anything that tends to distort the actual wishes of the electorate. But your recollection of history is not complete. If you were to really trace the history of vote buying, it started with Jonathan's second attempt, with all due respect to him. In Edo State, where I participated.
You were still governor at the time.
I was still governor at the time. They turned out not just Naira, they turned out dollars. I think a parade young men who came to me to say, look, when I saw this amount of dollar that was given to, they took the picture of the dollars. We had to do what we had to do, because there's no way APC will give us this kind of money. So President Jonathan started this massive vote buy in Nigeria. And the media must play back and do proper interview and proper investigation to discover the origin of vote buying. This does not make it right. If it is wrong, it is wrong. It does not matter how many more people, because based on my logic
about the thief
of Tambuwa and others, that somebody started this, no reason why we should join. So I am committed, and I agree absolutely with those who say we must do everything possible to eliminate vote buying. Unfortunately, I was not in Ekiti, so I can't claim to be a witness to vote buying, and I did not participate in any decision to vote money to buy votes in Ekiti. And I have my doubt as to if votes were to be bought and sold, whether Mr. Fayemi, who no one can claim that Fayemi is a rich man. I know he was struggling to find money to mobilize and to sustain his campaign, that he could have such huge tons of money. I guess he's the guy who had access to Ekiti Treasury, which in this case was the PDP, as then the city governor, who was so confident that he has all the resources. He even described himself as rock. If you fall on him, you will break. If he follow you, he will crush you. Now, the definitions and the particulars of this rock may well be in terms of the amount of naira that he thought was available. So I am not going to dismiss the allegation either way, just to say that I was not a party to it and I couldn't have possibly supported it. And I do not think, if you were to go into the specifics, that APC had the kind of resources the other Fayemi to resort to vote by. It is he who have money who can procure. When the economist talks about demand, they are not talking about needs. Those who demand, who buy, are those who have the purchasing power. Now, going forward, if you ask me, the way to eliminate it is to support President Buhari's anti-corruption campaign. If people of power no longer can take money freely from the treasury, I want to submit with all seriousness that those who labor to make money are not likely to buy votes. Those who have access to cheap money and rent sinking are likely much more to have no difficulties in parting with the money than those who labor. So once we eliminate free money in circulation, to the extent of which we can eliminate corruption, then I believe vote buy will be less.